Comic Books and Books this week is fairly short, but we do have some headlines. We have defunct Comics and Art magazine is getting a second life, and I'm super stoked about it. We have the new Kidpool is joining the comic book Marvel Universe proper, and an interesting series of books being released around famous boxers. We're going to talk about that and probably why they're doing that, and then just a little bit more, I think. Hello, nerds, and welcome to this week's episode of The News as it pertains to comic books and books. No discussion of current storylines, story arcs, or any of those kind of details is going to happen here per se. I am, after all, a one-man organization and can't read every book that comes out and report on it and any of the news therein. But we can talk about new announcements and major changes as they pertain to any of the publishers that we follow, or just generally nerdy literary information in that sense. So let's get into all of that, shall we? And also, if you dig what's going on here, there is a much more up-to-date and possibly relevant, because it takes a second to get these sections posted up, so probably much more up-to-date version of the news in long form I like to call The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, which you can find linked in the description as well as at the end of this video. That show covers many more points of interest in the nerd community, in the pop culture community at large, and so definitely go check that out. Now let's get into all of those literary notes, shall we? So we just have regular ass news for comics and books this week. We're not doing suggestions. It's the end of the season. I will very likely do a Nerdy Suggests episode, full-on episode, probably will be what makes up the difference next week, because this is the end of the season, so it's going to be a couple of weeks where we're not doing proper episodes really at all. So there will be probably a couple of reaction videos and other things that I'll be doing to fill the gaps that I don't have to put as much work into as I do for the news show. But as it stands this week, no suggestions. Anyway, let's talk about the news. So, comic book news. We actually have got a very interesting mix this week for comic books. We're going to start things off with Kidpool and Spider-Boy. So, this is a really funny situation to me because Kidpool has existed for some time. Kidpool, previous to the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, was a boy, and I don't know that a whole lot was really known about him because he's part of the Deadpool Corps, and it was more the Deadpool Corps as a whole is what was the character, whereas the individual Deadpools inside of it didn't really get as much of a backstory. Now we have Deadpool's kid, or Ryan Reynolds' kid, as Kidpool in the movie, so we now have a female Kidpool. And that version of Kidpool is what is getting... So I saw a bunch of headlines for this one saying, Kidpool is finally coming to the Marvel Comics universe. That's not accurate. There's always been well, not always, but there has for a long time been a Kidpool in the Marvel Comics universe. It's just a different version of Kidpool. The movie version of Kidpool specifically is who is finally coming to Marvel Comics. So we do know a little bit about this. The book is being written by Christopher Yost. We're getting art from Nathan Stockman, Chris Campana, and Jed Dougherty. Excuse me. And they're specifically bringing Ryan Reynolds' daughter version of Kidpool. So going from the kid in the Deadpool Corps to what we know specifically as Wanda Wilson, who is the Kidpool that joined the Deadpool Corps in the Void. The male Kidpool was a student at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and he was a troublemaker. And there's a little bit of backstory there, but honestly, again, not much, because I couldn't find his actual name. It might be Wade. It might just be a child version of Wade. I don't know. I honestly didn't read the book where they gave his backstory. But yeah, so December 25th is when this book is going to be on sale. It is going to be Kidpool and Spider-Boy. So Kidpool, it's the rise of the sidekicks. The Spider-Boy comic has kind of taken off, and we're getting Hulkette as part of this series as well. But the name specifically of this arc is going to be Kidpool and Spider-Boy. I'm sorry, Spider-Boy and Kidpool. I got that backwards. And again, issue number 1 out December 25th. Sounds pretty freaking cool, not gonna lie. I'm very interested because like you have the history between Deadpool and Spider-Man. So like bring that down to middle schoolers and just like how much goofier is that gonna be? Whatever. Next up we have Heavy Metal. This is the big piece for this section and I'm super stoked about it. So the Heavy Metal magazine, if you'll remember, Heavy Metal has been around for ages, since like the 70s, I'm pretty sure is when it started. But it took a hiatus. I did not write down when. After hiatus, it left many fans and creators feeling disappointed. I don't know when it went out of print, but it's been out of print for some time at this point. If I can find the specifics, which I don't know why I didn't do that in these notes, but if I can find the specifics, I'll probably put them in the notes down low or on the screen or something. But so it's been on hiatus. It hasn't been in print for some time at this point. They are rebooting it. So Heavy Metal Magazine is relaunching with a fresh start under new ownership and management. Issue number 1 is set to feature nearly 200 pages of just the exact kind of content you would expect out of Heavy Metal. Kicking off a Kickstarter campaign that will offer exclusive rewards like limited edition covers, art prints, and merch, etc. The new team, this is fairly noteworthy, and the new team aims to restore the legendary status after the hiatus kind of left a bunch of fans and artists disappointed. They have been set out to make amends with all of their debts. They have settled all of the debts that previously existed for the magazine. They have paid artists, settled debts with past creators, and are addressing missed subscriptions and orders. So if you have back orders that you did not get because they basically went out of business, like I'm pretty sure we talked about this on the channel when it happened. Again, I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe even a little bit more. But if you had a subscription and your subscription was not up, you still had more time on your subscription, they're going to address that. They're trying to address anything that was missed. So like if you knew books had come out, but they didn't mail it to you because they're starting to fall apart internally for whatever reason, then they're going to try and fix that as well. This is a pretty big undertaking for these guys. The website and store are being revamped. Subscribers will soon receive updates about their accounts, and fans are invited to reach out for support. Team expresses gratitude for your patience and excitement for the upcoming first issue. This is huge. This is going to be very, very significant. I'm super stoked for this. And then our final piece here in comic books and books is a series of boxing comics that are coming out. So the publisher is TidalWave Comics, launching a new comic series focused on legendary boxers. 3 of them specifically. We have Mike Tyson, we have Manny Pacquiao, and what was the other one? Why is my brain farting? Muhammad Ali. Woohoo! Thank God for notes. Tyson, Pacquiao, and Ali are getting books unto themselves. It looks like Tyson's is going to be a couple issues. Ali's looks like it might just be a single issue. Then Pacquiao's is going to be a series of issues. So the first one is Mike Tyson's Fame. They're releasing this ahead of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, which, by the way, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, if Jake Paul does not come out to Will Smith's I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson, or the Fresh Prince's I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson, I think that is a total missed opportunity. Anyway, so Mike Tyson's Fame goes into a bunch of detail of his life. It's biographical, not autobiographical, it's just biographical. It is going to go into a lot of details. They even go into his Joe Rogan appearances from some of the preview art that they've released from this book. It's pretty freaking cool. It delves into Tyson's life from being hypnotized to suppress empathy in the ring to his love for pet tigers and his iconic face tattoo. The other one is going to be Tribute, is the Muhammad Ali book. This one drops January 17th, Muhammad Ali's birthday. And then Fame is the other one. I'm sorry, Fame is also the Mike Tyson book, but Fame, Manny Pacquiao, which launches on December 11th. The publisher is Darren G. Davis. This is not the first time TidalWave has done sport books. I think that's kind of what their stock and trade is sport comics, highlighting recent biographies for icons like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, etc., etc. Fans can access these comics both in stores and digitally on platforms like Kindle, ComiXology, so TidalWave is on ComiXology, and iTunes. So yeah, that's what we got for comic books and books this week, nerds. Like I said, no suggestions. My apologies. Let's move on. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.